What's going on there, guys? Good morning, good afternoon. It is Monday, November 14th, 2022, about 11:22 a.m. California time here. Taking a look at the last 24 hours of earthquake activity. Still continues to show pretty active conditions across the Fiji area, down into portions of New Zealand as well. Let's go ahead and check out the flat scale model Earth here, get a little bit better view of the activity ramping up globally. Still getting some, as noted, getting some movement still around the Fiji area, Samoa, Tonga region. We did have a couple more fours within this area overnight. Looks like about 4 of them to be specific there. 4.9 through 4.8, all these within the Tonga, Fiji region, some of them deep, some of them shallow. So still watching this area along the Kermadec Trench down into the New Zealand area for possible movement. Just really hasn't been hit like I'm expecting it to be. There was some activity further south here along the Antarctica and the Pacific Plate. Had a 5.5 coming in early this morning, about 7 o'clock. Still, definitely, kind of puts New Zealand within that middle point there, so got to watch that zone pretty closely. Around Papua New Guinea area, this activity here was from yesterday. Our newer movement is up here to the north, around the Mariana Trench, northward in this area that we're kind of chatting about yesterday. Definitely makes sense considering all the activity and the west-northwestward pressure movement here of the Pacific Plate. We've seen things kind of ramp up within the area. Again, as noted, the Mariana Trench northward into portions of the Izu Trench. We did see a 6.1 come in, pretty deep, just off the coast of Japan. 6.1, 357 kilometers deep here. So a lot of deeper earthquakes happening specifically within this trench area, and that will definitely produce a little bit more strain upstream here. And if there is enough pressure in the zone, which I'm not for certain if there is or not, because a month or so, a couple months back, we've seen a pretty good swarm of activity in the 5 range. I think we may have even had a 6 in here or so as well, but not for sure if this one's capable of producing a large, super large earthquake. I know up here north of the Japan Trench, this zone right here is getting primed, and it has been for a little while. But either way, definitely an uptick in movement overnight along this area of the Pacific Plate, but it's well down in there underneath the Philippine Plate. Further west throughout China, northern portions of, looks like outside of Pakistan there, at a 4.4. That one coming in yesterday. Actually, looking at all 3 of these quakes in the vicinity are from yesterday. The latest one was just before midnight of 4.2 into the Afghanistan area. Further west here throughout the Gulf region, this one came in yesterday afternoon time frame. That should be dropping off pretty soon. A little quake activity there yesterday. Overnight, well, not really overnight, but during the hours last night before midnight, we've seen a little bit of movement out into the Atlantic Ocean. Divergent boundary zone out here kicking up 5.1 and a couple 4s. Haven't really seen too much activity today so far in this area, including the South Sandwich Islands. Not a whole lot going on. Into the Puerto Rico area, things look like they're lighting up a little bit here around our swarming area, southwest edge here of Puerto Rico, into portions of the Marotas Trough. Puerto Rico Trench looks pretty quiet, not a whole lot popping up there currently, but overall general seismic activity a little bit higher than what we've seen yesterday. South America region kind of toning off a little bit here. Last earthquake was at, looks like yesterday afternoon time frame, with that 4.2 into the, just off the Chile area. Into the States, got some activity kicking up, looks like around the New Madrid zone. That one coming in yesterday afternoon time frame. Not for sure if they just put that up there, because I don't remember that being on the update yesterday. Either way, a little bit of activity. 1.7 there in the New Madrid zone. Oklahoma area seen some activity this morning, it looks like. outside of Union City. Cisco, is that Cisco? Minco. Why'd I say Cisco? I thought I seen a Cisco in there. A little bit of activity out here, just out in these. Well, let's see what we got out here. Let's go to the satellite view. Looks like there may be some little hills or something out here, or creeks, which would indicate maybe some hills. Kind of hard to tell with this angle of the map, but far as pumping operations go out here, kind of hard to say. There might be some older ones listed out there on the map that have been wiped away throughout the years, but either way, this is where the activity is kicking up here within this field area. It looks like a couple twos and some ones in there as well through Oklahoma. Texas, outside of Midland area, looks like a little activity near the Stanton area. Out in these massive oil fields. Look at all these oil fields listed out here. There's a lot. And this earthquake here, definitely out in those fields. Lots of wastewater injection ponds and a very busy operation out there, it looks like, for that 2.9 sitting out there in those massive oil fields. Okay, what else we got here? Yellowstone National Park showing a little bit of activity this morning. So far, a 2.6 coming in, the largest earthquake in this area. It's going to be over here towards the west-northwest here. Also, a little bit of activity further to the eastern side of the park. I was checking that out just a few minutes ago. Here's the latest overview of the activity, and looks like it was somewhat quiet overnight. These are some earthquakes. I believe this is the Japan earthquake there that kicked off overnight. That 6-pointer, the 6.1. Thought it came in as a 6.2 or maybe a 6.4 originally, but it looks like it settled as a 6.1. But either way, that's going to be that signature, along with some localized earthquake activity here at Yellowstone. So looks like we may be getting back into the swarming. Really never left it. It's been kind of swarming here for the past couple months, and I'm not for certain if USGS has included every single earthquake that's taken place up here at Yellowstone. Just within the vicinity, 187 earthquakes in the last 30 days here. Most of it confined to the northwest corner of the park right there. So we'll watch it. Definitely kicking up, it seems like, today again. Southern California, not a whole lot going on. A little spotty, actually really spotty. Aside from a couple small quakes here south of the Brawley zone. Looks like some of those came in early this morning time frame, just off the Brawley seismic zone there. Just further spotty activity as we head north. No major swarms noted. No major unusual activity. There is a little bit of movement up against the foothills here. Looks like a couple, at least a 2.4 and a couple ones there outside of the Mariposa area. Somewhat deep up against the, right up against the foothills here, it kind of looks like. About 20 kilometers, 21 kilometers deep for that activity. Some movement on the creeping fault system, or the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault today as well. It's going to be this range here. One of them just within, looks like just over an hour ago, 2.1. The other one from yesterday, Pinnacles area. Bay Area, pretty quiet, aside from one little earthquake off of the Hayward. Is this a Hayward Fault here? I believe it is. USGS not listing it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's kind of odd. Either way, a little bitty small microquake of 1.9 at 8 kilometers deep around the bay. Not a whole lot going on there today in that area. In the Clear Lake volcanic field, pretty, looks like it's fairly active. That is going to be around the Cobb Mountain area, creating some energy out there from the Calpine hydrothermal operations. Also into the Lake Pillsbury area. Coastal range here of Northern California, 2.3 at 11 kilometers deep. This earthquake up here from the Blanco fracture zone from yesterday. I don't believe we've seen anything further in that area overnight. Doesn't look like it. Outside of the Mount Rainier area, got a little bit of activity as well, lighting up. Mount St. Helens. And up into the Alaska area. Little spotty here, it looks like. Not a whole lot of movement throughout the Alaska area today. Just some general seismic activity taking place there. The Big Island. What do we got here for activity? Most of it around Pahala, it looks like. The Mauna Loa swarm up here kind of taking a temporary pause for now, but I expect that to continue to pick up. Let's see here. What else? So just a couple different areas to watch for sure, folks, considering all this movement. Which is a lot over the past week or so. We've seen definitely a lot of 7s and 6s and deeper movement all over the place. Areas that have not been hit yet by any sufficient movement or any minimal activity, that is up here around the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Right, that area has definitely been awfully quiet, and the strain that's built up on there, I'm sure, is pretty great. And also here along the New Zealand area, this area. With all the movement around it to the north, and now we're getting some activity in the south. It definitely seems to be noteworthy. Definitely noteworthy to watch this area for some potential movement. And whether that's on the Hikurangi subduction zone or the southern end of the Kermadec Trench, this whole area, just be on guard, folks. Let's see what else is there. That's about it for earthquake activity. Which is, again, somewhat definitely elevated overnight. Solar flaring kicking up a little bit from our sunspots. You can kind of see these departing sunspots lighten up a little bit, creating some spark and some flaring. Currently nothing major. Looks like we do have some, come on, there we go. Some C flares crackling up here into the threshold of the C flare category. Wanting maybe to pop up to a M flare. We'll watch that pretty closely. It looks like overall a 35% chance for an M flare from the sunspots, 90% chance for C flare, and 10% for an X flare. We are noticing a little bit of the global D-layer absorption map here, indicating some high frequency blackouts there from the flaring that is currently going on from these sunspots, which are pretty massive. A nice little group, cluster of sunspots. And again, they're turning away from Earth, though. Getting out there on the northwestern limb. Anything that does pop off here, aside from the DRAP map, as far as a CME goes, would probably be Earth directed away from Earth. The sunspots here look pretty, looks like they're getting a little bit more complex here as they depart the Earth side of the sun. And we're left with pretty much this little guy. I don't know if anything's going to pop off from that. Doesn't look like it. But these guys may produce an M flare or even a moderate M flare. Looking at the instability here of these magnetic structures of the magnetic fields here. Definitely keep an eye on that. All right, folks. Have a good day. It is Monday. Got a few things I got to do today. Fun. And, of course, some more schoolwork and quite a few lectures I got to get taken care of. So we will be back a little bit later on this evening with an update video, unless something drastic or major happens. I'll catch you guys a little bit later on. Have a good one.